Hi, welcome back to Journeys of Peace. This is Movie Talk. Today we're discussing an older movie called City Slickers about three friends who go on a cattle drive as they are all in the midst of a midlife crisis. I have a version of this review with clips from the movie, but it's currently blocked due to copyright. I have it under review to get it reversed. In the meantime, please check out my watch list for City Slickers to find some of the scenes I'm referencing. Florida with her and the kids. The next morning, Mitch starts grinding coffee beans in a battery-operated grinder, and it spooks the cattle, causing a stampede towards the camp and angering Curly. Thankfully, Mitch and Phil learned something from the previous year and managed to not be hurt in mayhem. Curly shoots his pistol and the cattle halt after destroying the camp. Curly makes Mitch accompany him to round up a few strays from the herd as the others go on. But the two have to make camp for the night alone after retrieving the strays. Mitch tells Curly to either do what harm he's going to do or shut up. The pair share some moments that night and the next day. Curly reveals he has a thing for redheads. I think I understand a bit more about cowboys now, and I may need to consider becoming a blonde. Curly explains more about cowboy life, and the secret to life is one thing. Mitch asks, "What's the one thing?" Curly says that's what he has to figure out for himself. Mitch delivers a calf whom he bonds with and names Norman. After catching up with the others and they are wrapping up dinner around the campfire, Mitch realizes Curly has passed while astride his horse like a true cowboy. After being buried on the trail, the crisis really begins. Without Curly, Cookie starts drinking and drives the supply wagon off a ravine. Two of the crew offer to take the injured Cookie in a litter to the nearest town to tend to his injuries. The two cattle drivers drink the rest of Cookie's whiskey at camp that night. They threaten Norman, which forces Mitch out of his tent to retrieve him. He tries to defuse the situation, but it ends in a physical altercation where Phil and Ed get control of the cattle drivers' guns and Phil has a meltdown. The drivers then ride off. The rest of the crew are left with a herd of cattle and no clue how to get anywhere, let alone the ranch where the cattle need to go. Ira and Barry suggest leaving the herd and try to get to civilization as fast as possible. Bonnie agrees. Phil and Ed say they will bring in the herd. Mitch says they're crazy and goes with the others. Phil and Ed have trouble keeping control of the herd when Mitch arrives to help wearing Curly's hat. They face inclement weather, a treacherous river crossing, a daring water rescue of Norman where Mitch finally manages to rope a cow, but ends up needing the strength of all three men to get them all out of danger, and very little food and water. But at the end of the day, they bring in the herd to the tune of Bonanza. Combined with the score, we feel that excitement of what Curly said, which is there's nothing like bringing in the herd. With more than 3 decades since I saw this movie in the theater, and knowing my own grandpa was a real-life cowboy, it really speaks to me. Then a hard moment of reality hits when the ranch owner says the cattle are headed to market. It's something all of us forget, but raising cattle is a business. Mitch feels a bit deflated, especially at the thought of Norman being sold. The three men reflect on their adventure the last night at the ranch. Phil realizes he has the courage for a do-over in his life, and it's kind of a gift. Ed realizes he shouldn't be scared and is going to have a baby with his wife, because he opened up about kicking out his abusive father being the worst and best day of his life. To me, this also explained Ed's commitment issues. And Mitch not only found his smile, but his one thing that mattered: his family. He also brings home Norman. One of the things I really appreciate about this movie is we can still see the depth behind each of these men. Mitch wears the same cap he wore in Pamplona at the beginning of the cattle drive. They use baseball trivia to supplement what is happening. It gets through difficult subject matter through comedic means without being too snarky or ridiculous. There's a friendship between these men that seems genuine. These guys really do seem to be enjoying themselves at the end of the cattle drive while bringing in the herd. I don't know if it's really the actors riding, but the form and the style shows they enjoy riding horses. When I was little, that was something I absolutely loved. It was something I shared with my dad. Upon reflection, I see a connection in this movie to something I wasn't really expecting because it starts in Pamplona. For those who don't know, Pamplona is a stop on the Camino de Santiago, and when I was on that portion of the Camino, I got a lot of reminders about the simplicity of life that can come with living in a place where you're surrounded by cattle grazing and green rolling mountains. I felt closer to my grandpa and my dad. The Camino is something I want to dive into, so I may have to do the movie The Way next. City Slickers has that same pilgrimage journey message. By that, I mean it doesn't have to be religious. It's an individual experience that means something different to each of us. Like Curly said, we all have to figure out what that one thing that makes our life meaningful and do it. It could be remembering how important your spouse and kids are. It could be realizing you have more courage than you thought. I know that was a much deeper dive than you were expecting, but I think it's important to show that contrast in this type of comedy compared to Couples Retreat. Life itself is a journey, and some of my favorite poems and prayers are about the journey and having the guts to step out of your comfort zone and step away from fear. I know that was a lot of philosophy. Please let me know your thoughts on City Slickers. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let me know your thoughts. I've linked my Amazon link if you want to check City Slickers out for yourself. It helps me out. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye for now.